नमस्कार. पणजी दूरदर्शनच्या स्टुडिओंतल्यान मतदार साक्षरताय ह्या कार्यावळीक तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार. ही कार्यावळ चीफ इलेक्टोरल ऑफिसर आनी पणजी दूरदर्शन तुमच्या मेरेन पावयता. ह्या कार्यावळींतल्यान आमी वेगवेगळ्या विशयाचेर मतदाना कडेन संबंदीत, मतदारा कडेन संबंदीत आनी लोकशाये कडेन संबंदीत वेगवेगळ्या विशयाचेर जागृताय कार्यावळी तुमच्या मेरेन पावयतली. हातूंत भासाभास जातली. म्हणजे जे आमचे ऑडियन्स आसतले तांचे कितें प्रस्न आसत जाल्यार तांच्यो जापोय आमी मेळोवपाचो यत्न करतली. आमचो आयच्या कार्यावळीचो विशय आसा आयडिया ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी आनी ह्या विशयाचेर आमकां माहिती दिवपाक, आमचे वांगडा भासाभास करपाक आयज आसात डॉक्टर प्रकाश देसाय. डॉक्टर, वेलकम टू अवर प्रोग्राम इन आवर स्टुडिओ एज वेल. डॉक्टर प्रकाश देसाय हे गोवा युनिवर्सिटीत फाटलीं 11 वर्सां शिकयतात. पॉलिटिकल सायन्स ह्या विभागात ते असिस्टंट प्रोफेसर म्हणून काम करतात. तांणी जवाहरलाल नेहरू युनिवर्सिटींतल्यान MA, MPhil आनी PhD ची पदवी मेळयल्या आनी आयज आयडिया ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी ह्या विशयाचेर ते आमकां माहिती दितले, तशेंच आमच्या ऑडियन्सांचे प्रस्न आसात तांच्यो जापोय दितले. तर सरळ वता तांच्या वांगडा तांचे कडेन जाणून घेवया आयडिया ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी तांच्या शब्दांत. Doctor, I would like to know how you see idea of democracy, or how you understand the democracy.
Yeah, before responding to that question, I should thank you for inviting me for this Matadar Saksharta program. Yeah, when it comes to the idea of democracy, the way it was understood earlier and the way it is understood, you know that now. There are so many changes at theoretical level. Theorists who theorized the idea in beginning of the 20th century and now there is a difference. General understanding even today regarding democracy is mere presence of elections, but that is not the case. Democracy has different components: economic component, political component and social component. So we are giving importance to only one component. I mean, this is the understanding, that is elections. So apart from this election, then what about the social aspects of democracy? So in this way I discuss the idea of democracy, and I further say that this is an ethical democracy. Okay, democracy with number of ethical ideas. So in this direction, eminent political thinkers, philosophers like Amartya Sen and some of the contemporary Marxist thinkers and our own, that Indian Dalit Bahujan thinkers, so they have contributed hugely for this idea of democracy. So yeah, that is the one reason our constitutional institutions like Election Commission of India trying to make this idea of democracy more inclusive and social and economic. It is trying its level best to make people to think about the social and economic aspects of democracy. So this is what is my understanding regarding the idea of democracy.
Okay. How would you relate the democracy or the election with social and economic aspects?
Social and economic aspects are components of democracy in this sense. No doubt here I am representing an election commission. I need not to bring in my own academic ideas, but I try to limit myself. Okay, in the sense within a certain elections can make democracy social and economic. Social and economic in the sense there is a linkage between governance and people's participation. If people engage with the government, definitely government delivers good governance. Then how to create this awareness among the people? How to create awareness among the people about social and economic components? It is through election. Some people may think of this revolution, that revolution, but I would say first we need to go for mental revolution. We need to get enlightened ourselves, our democratic system, our voting right. Then definitely it will be resulted in different forms of democracy. So definitely we realize economic democracy, definitely we realize social democracy. So in this sense, that there is a linkage between political, economic and social aspects. But credit should go to Election Commission also. Election Commission of India is trying its level best. Okay, now we have KBP survey, creating awareness among the voters about the importance of voting. So Election Commission is that one of the institution in which still people have that hope, and still people are positive about the role of Election Commission of India.
Doctor, we often hear that in order to bring change in the society or in the country, there is a need of revolution or this sort of idea. I would like to know from you how how we as a society, being within the framework of democracy, can bring in change through elections.
Is very interesting question, and close to my area of that teaching. India is an exceptional society in this, that when we think of social change, economic change, political change, it is an exceptional society in the sense, if you go back to our early period, when society witnessed certain that hierarchies, associated discriminations, we witnessed a Buddhist movement, Shramanic. It is popularly known as a Shramanic movement. Okay, and it challenged the contemporary narratives which indirectly, sometimes directly facilitated the that discrimination. So our own Buddhism succeeded in bringing social change. Okay, social change in the society. Then later on, that in 12th century onwards, we had a Bhakti experiment. So Bhakti experiment with its non-violent strategy. Okay, non-violent, we call it as a epistemology. Okay, in philosophical terms, with its non-violent approach, succeeded in bringing changes. If you look at Varkari movements, Lingayat movements in Karnataka, so they were all, I should say, they were all democratic experiments. Okay, without any this revolution, without any class struggle, without violence, this and that. Then as we entered 18th, 19th century, again that we came under that certain influences, and our own that Indian thinkers responded to the changes, especially colonialism, political colonialism at one level, and social colonialism that was there centuries together. So political colonialism was questioned by some thinkers, social colonialism was questioned by thinkers like Jyotiba Phule, Ambedkar. So Phule did this, Ambedkar did this, Nehru did this, and Gandhi did this, not through revolution, okay, not through non-violent that approaches. They were very peaceful in their approaches, and they realized that, and finally that we became independent nation state, and we became democratic sovereign socialist republic. It is mainly because of that such in a way a very progressive non-violent ideas and approaches. So yeah.
Okay. Doctor, when we talk about Indian democracy, how you see it in comparison with Western democracies?
Yeah, there are two versions. Okay, when we compare Indian democracy with West, me as a teacher, I need to give both versions. Me as a person, that who is very objective in analyzing, assessing the political system, I need to give both versions. The one version says that India is one of the largest democracy, and we have been very successful in conducting the election, no doubt about that. And apart from this, okay, there are several other problems also. Somewhere we are missing. There is some that lacuna in this. And when it comes to comparison, we no need to compare our democracy with Pakistan. Why should we compare our democracy with Pakistan? Some democracies in South Asia, we know that they are failed experiments. Okay, so we need to compare our democracy with the kind of the democracy that experimented in Western societies. So this is another account. But one more, that in between what I say, basically, that we are argumentative Indians. You take even, that earlier our classical text. In Mahabharata, we find argumentation. In Ramayana, we find argumentation. Vedas, Upanishads, both, that Brahmanical philosophy or Shramanic philosophy, they are all known for, that argumentation. So that, that in that sense, I say that we are more democratic than, that so-called democracies emerged out of enlightenment, modernity, capitalism, industrialization. So I would request, that many of our, that our own our own political practitioners don't understand modernity in terms of modernity. Explore modernity in our medieval, explore modernity in our ancient India. So because Buddha, I say that Buddha was the first democratic philosopher. I say that Bhakti movement was, that the greater democratic experiment than the so-called French Revolution, the so-called Enlightenment, the so-called, that Industrial Revolution, Glorious Revolution, whatever, that we had seen, we had witnessed in Europe. So this is my response.
Doctor, we'll take questions from audiences.
Sure.
तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार दिता नमस्कार. तुमकां जर प्रश्न विचारपाचे आसत आमचे आयज एक्सपर्ट आसा डॉक्टर प्रकाश देसाय, तांकां विचारूंक शकतात. तुमचें नांव सांगात सुरवातेक आनी प्रश्न विचारा.
My name is Sarvesh Verekar. I am from Goa University. Sir, as per your talk, I realized that we brought many ideas from Western democracies. And in a way, today's democracy is from basically from Western ideas. But sir, Western ideas emerged at the time of modern times. Were there any practices during pre-modern times for any democratic practices?
Yeah, this is what I was, answering. There were number of democratic experiences, okay, in other parts of the world. But the problem with political scientists, okay, we are all culprits in a way. Culprits in the sense we have that guilt that we have given, that 100% mass to only Western democracies. But we don't look at, we don't explore the same experiences in other societies, okay. So India is one such society. We had, that such democratic experiences. Let me begin with our Vedic, that society. We had institutions like Sabha, Samiti, Vidhata. So just, that go through, that the practices in these institutions. There was, that women could participate. They could raise several questions, and in fact we had, that great personalities of that time, Gargi, Maitreyi, Anusuya. We had such examples, okay. Then why can't we theorize it as a, the feminist experiment or a democratic argumentative experience in ancient India? Then if we go further, okay, at philosophical level, there is a difference between Vedas and Vedic and Upanishadic philosophy or Vedantic philosophy. See, Vedanta questions Vedas, okay. Upanishads question, there is an argumentation, okay. Then apart from that, we had several, that darshans, philosophies. Sankhya philosophy is there, then Charvaka's philosophy is there. So some of these philosophies, they even didn't believe in God. Charvaka was materialist, okay. Charvaka was materialist, and he gave very, that different interpretations regarding society. So we need to look at these traditions. Then Buddhism is there, then Jainism is there. Then as we entered the 10th century, we had, that many experiments like Lingayat movement in Karnataka, then Alvars, Shaivite saints in Tamil Nadu. So then even Sikhism for that matter, if you read the Sikh philosophy, that Sikh religious philosophy, It stands for equality, it stands for justice, it stands for universal sisterhood and common, that brotherhood. So don't you think that these are all not democratic experiments? They were democratic experiments, okay. The way it happened in Europe. See, when it comes to separation of religion from the politics, we always think of Machiavelli, okay. Machiavelli propounded this separation of religion from the politics. But why can't we, that explain Charvaka as the first person who separated religion from the politics? Some materialist Sankhya philosopher from ancient India. Why can't we, that say that Buddha was a first great democratic philosopher? So this tradition is there in India. That is the reason, that Amartya Sen came up with a book titled Argumentative Indian. We are argumentative Indians, and the result, okay, today's democratic experiment is result of this argumentative tradition, and it should, that, and that is the only hope. Argumentation is our hope, not suppression of argumentation, okay. So this is what I can say.
We'll go to the next question. कोण विचारूंक सोदता फुडलो प्रश्न?
Hello sir, my name is Vedang Prabhu. So I am from Goa University, and so my question is that what are the difficulties and challenges that the Western world of democracies are facing or undergoing to making their democracies inclusive?
Oh, what? Yeah, it is a good question. Okay, the challenges Western democracies are facing in making their democracies inclusive. This is what is your question.
Yeah.
See, first we should ask this question, okay, where Western democracy is inclusive? Okay, we should start this question. Why we should raise this question? Because see, this democratic experiment began in West with Magna Carta, Glorious Revolution, then number of socio-political developments like Industrial Revolution. Then finally, that the parliament became supreme in UK and in many other European countries. So they started a democratic experiment. But if you think of democracy without franchise, voting rights, then democracy becomes incomplete. To whom they extended voting rights to in their societies? Did they extend voting rights to everyone in UK, everyone in USA, everyone in New Zealand, everyone in France? No. Voting rights were extended to their citizens on the basis of property, on the basis of certain educational qualification, on the basis of gender. Women were kept out of franchise, okay, voting rights. So that is the reason, that feminist movement, they had to start this suffragette movements, okay. And for more than 100 years they had to fight for that, their voting rights. And very around 100 years back, women got voting rights. But look at India. We became independent in 47, became republic in 50. In 50 itself, okay, our constitution gave voting rights to everyone irrespective of caste, color, race, gender. So these things we need to carefully understand. We as a student of politics, we as a students of democratic politics.
Go to next question. फुडलो प्रश्न.
I mean to say that they have challenges. Western societies have challenges. Look at racial question. Just a minute. USA, okay, very recently when Trump was president, what had happened with black community in USA? You must have read in newspapers, okay. Then can we call, that American society as a very democratic society if you look at these examples? So there are several challenges in Western democracies also. It is not that they are completely free from challenges.
Yes. We'll go to next question.
Sir, why Indian Constitution is known as social document?
Yeah, it is very good question. Why Indian Constitution is called as a social document? Because if you see and carefully study the different provisions, parts of the Indian Constitution, okay, they are very progressive. We find every philosophy in Indian Constitution. We find liberalism, we find feminism, we find socialism, even we can find multiculturalism. What I mean to say that Indian constitution is very progressive. It has all philosophical features. Gandhism is there. Then above all, the very guiding argument, okay, the very guiding argument in Indian constitution is Ambedkar's philosophy, Ambedkar's liberalism. So that is why Indian constitution is a social document, philosophical document. It always, gives direction to the ruling regimes, political regimes. No, you have to abide by this principle. If you go, if you become deviant in this, then that it is against the constitution spirit. And I should add one more thing. Our constitution is a reflection of our own existence, social existence, cultural existence. Ours is a diverse society. So all that diversity is reflected in Indian constitution. So that is the reason it is called as a social document.
मी पुढला प्रश्न घेऊया.
So my name is Amay Padelkar and my question is, what is ethical democracy?
Yeah, ethical. In fact, this I was when I was discussing with our colleagues Ravji Gaonkar, Prachi Nayak, and all. Generally, we discuss. Okay, so somehow we coined this term ethical democracy. As such, there is no term called ethical democracy. We have social democracy, this democracy, that democracy. I mean, credit should go to our department, okay, for coining this term ethical democracy. Our understanding is, if we don't, if some components are missing in any political system, okay, any democratic political system, that system becomes unethical democracy. If democratic political system gives equal importance to social, economic, political components of democracy, that democracy can be considered, recognized as ethical democracy. So then it is like a open-ended question. Okay, you answer yourselves. So look at these this ethical, that understanding of democracy. So we need to search. Okay, we need to explore these different components of democracy.
Yes. पुढला प्रश्न कोण घेता?
My name is Sanika Palya. So, how in the larger sense the election commission has democratized the very process of electoral democracy in India?
Yeah, very good question. Okay, good question in this sense. See, we only hear about, that we think that democracy is a very radical idea. But here is the institution which is democratizing democracy. Election Commission of India, I say that democratizing our own democratic electoral system. It is democratizing in this sense. If you read some of Commission's efforts, okay, be it introduction of EVM, that electronic voting machine, then photo identity cards, then Nota, then VVPAT. These are all what? These are all, that very new experiments to make, that system transparent. So in this sense, it is democratizing the electoral process. And apart from that, if you remember some personalities, okay, officers associated with Election Commission of India, people like T.N. Sheshan, it was they who brought, that number of changes in, that in our process, and it is continued. That tradition is continued. You every time, okay, every Election Commission of India is making its efforts, and there may be some questions, okay, there may be questions with electoral process, but Commission is trying its level best. It may be with respect to certain, that practices you can understand, okay, but Commission, as far as my understanding is concerned, me as a student of that democratic process, I say that Election Commission of India is making its effort.
Okay. So we'll take last question from you.
So my name is Pooja Tupsonder, and my question is, how do you link between the participation in the electoral process and citizenship?
See, the question is how do we understand, how do we define citizens, okay? Citizen and citizenship is not just mere presence, okay? Our own existence in our social system, political system. We have certain duties towards our political system. We have certain duties towards our social system. When we are part of democracy, when we have voting rights, it is our responsibility to vote in the election, okay? So, in that sense, there is a linkage between governance and our own participation. In that sense, there is a linkage between citizenship and participation. We are very, that we as a society, we are very good in, that blaming the government, blaming the system. But at the same time, we don't blame ourselves. If someone asks us why we didn't vote, why we do not vote, we give several reasons. But we should vote. So I here bring in one of the statement of Mohandas Karamchandra Gandhi. Be the change that you wish to see in the society. Be the change that you wish to see in the society. If you want good governance, then how do you bring good governance? By casting your vote. Change the party which you don't like. All are our political parties, all are Indian parties, no? Whether it is this party or that party. So bring, that change the system, change the party. So if you think that particular party is not doing, it is in your hand. That is the reason, okay, Election Commission is, that creating this awareness, Matadar Saksharta, electoral literacy. The idea behind this is this. I mean, how to change the system, how to change the, that our governance. It is only through democracy, it is only through voting. This is my answer.
Yes, I think Doctor, your talk was so enlightening for them that they don't have any more questions.
Okay.
And that's a very good sign.
Yeah.
I would like to thank you from DD Panji and Chief Electoral Officer for visiting our studio and giving such a wonderful talk. And I would like to say that in a different perspective which we got, that how modern, progressive, or I would say matured our ancient society was.
Our ancient society was matured in the sense that I would again bring in that argumentation only. I am very argumentative. That is why I bring argumentative part of ancient India. We are so argumentative. We never, that accepted the way theorization was done, the way spirituality was understood. Okay. So
Basically, questioning is the essence of democracy.
Yeah, it was there in ancient India. It was there in ancient India. So that tradition we should continue with. So then that India was beautiful, India remains beautiful, India will be beautiful with that argumentative tradition. So this is what I can.
This note, I would like to conclude this program, and I would like to thank you and also तुमका सगळ्यांक खूप खूप देव बरें करूं. तुम्ही हांगा आयले आणि तुमचे प्रश्न विचारले आणि आमची ही कार्यावळ अधिक म्हणजे इन्क्लुझिव्ह झाली. तुमच्या प्रश्नांन आस्पावीत झाली सगळ्यांच्या तुमच्या भागीदारीन. देव बरें करूं.